Hey guys, Matt here. I'm ready for another Los Angeles singer-songwriters video. This is not going to be about two singer-songwriters like I've done in my first two Los Angeles singer-songwriter videos. I'm going to just do Harry Nilsson today. I'm all ready. Got my Steve McQueen shirt on. Ready to divest in another hero of my youth. I was just thinking all these bands and these artists, you know, they most of them are long gone. So I guess these are just, I hope actually that they're not just exercises in nostalgia for me, but there you go. I guess my show is not for young people unless they're into this kind of stuff too. So Harry Nilsson, he gets his own show today, unlike the previous shows I did on Tim Buckley and Jackson Browne, and then Randy Newman and Warren Zevon, all excellent singer-songwriters, all, you know, popular in Los Angeles in the 60s, 70s, 80s. Tim Buckley, of course, died in the 70s. So Harry Nilsson fits that same category for the 60s and the 70s. I'm going to do all of his albums. I do not own the first and the last one, so and I had never even heard them until recently, so I listened to them online. First one's called, boom, Spotlight on Nilsson. 66 or 67, depending upon which online source you believe. This apparently is a compilation of his first 4 45s, plus a couple songs that were previously unreleased, so you get 10 tracks. It wasn't bad, you know. It's a collection of his previously released material. It's not an album that Harry, you know, sanctioned as an LP. It's all right. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised. I don't need to hear it too many more times, but it wasn't bad. Okay. Now, from now on, until we get to Flash Harry in 1980, I'm going to be using the RCA albums collection. It says all of his RCA albums, bonus tracks. Make this your first Harry Nilsson purchase. Little booklet here telling you all about everything. First one is called Pandemonium Shadow Show. Now this one I know was released in 67. It's not a bad album. He was an early, I don't know what word to use. The Beatles liked him, so they bigged him up to the musical establishment. This is a fine album. It's not a classic. Let me see what I wrote down notes prepared for this one on what songs I like. I like 10 Little Indians, which the Yardbirds had covered that same year. 1941, that's a good one. Cuddly Toy, which the Monkees did very well. She Sang Hymns Out of Tune, the Jesse Lee Kincaid number, which a lot of Los Angelinos were covering at the time. You Can't Do That, which is a nice little Beatles cover. And then Without Her, which, who sang Without Her? Was that a Blood, Sweat, and Tears number? I can't remember now. Anyways, it's not bad. Ooh. But he would make better. This is better than his first LP. 68, we have Aerial Ballet. Now, I said in my 1968 show, this is my favorite Harry Nilsson album. Cut for cut, it has the least amount of filler, if indeed any filler. I love all of this. His next album, Harry, in 1969, is almost the same in terms of how much I admire it. I like all of it, but I really like Daddy's Song, which, of course, again, the Monkees covered. Everybody's Talking, his cover of the Fred Neil classic, which was in Midnight Cowboy. Mr. Tinker, you know, One, which Three Dog Night did. I love it. This disc gives you the mono and the stereo mix. I don't remember. Yeah, mono and stereo mix. That's what you want. All right, 1969 gives us Harry, Almost As Good. I don't know what my second favorite Harry Nilsson album is, but it might be this one because it's virtually as good as Aerial Ballet. What I write down here, again, all of it. Puppy Song, Rainmaker, I've heard other artists cover that. Open Your Window, but again, this one and Aerial Ballet they're classic singer-songwriter albums. God, I hope I included this in my 1969 video because I'm doing these videos, top 70 albums of any given year. I only did 60 for 1968 for some reason. And I realize I forget things when I come to the next year and I say, oh, why didn't I include this? So I hope I included this in my 1969 video. If not, it should have been there. Okay, 1970, there was a couple of albums. The excellent Nilsson Sings Newman. Now, guys, I'm a big Randy Newman booster. Just did my show on Randy. Randy plays piano on this. This is a very well-recorded album. I think they're all Newman tunes, or there was one of them a Nilsson number? Can't remember. Anyways, what I wrote down was, I forgot that Dean Torrance of Jen and Dean did the cover. I wrote that down too. Vine Street, which of course, I've been on that Van Dyke Parks album a few years earlier. Love Story, Yellow Man, Dayton, Ohio, 1903. So Long Dad. I mean, when you have a whole album of Randy Newman songs, it's hard to pick them. They're all gonna be good. Plus, Harry can really sing. I mean, he's a better singer than Randy. That doesn't mean I like Nilsson's versions better than Newman. I just like the fact that Harry was on board with promoting Randy Newman at this early stage in his career. Okay, also in 1970, or was this 71? Now I got myself wondering. Was The Point? Now this was an animated TV show, little special in which I can actually remember watching. Now, did they show it, more than once? Would I have a memory of something that I watched at 5 years old? But I remember Me and My Arrow and the little boy Oblio, and I've watched it on YouTube, since then. But I have memories of watching this when I was a kid. So unless they broadcast this on TV after 1970 or 71, then my memories are from when it first broadcasts. And what did I write down? Everybody's Got 'Em. Me and My Arrow, of course, which I remember that being a hit. Think About Your Troubles, and Are You Sleeping? The Point is a cool little soundtrack to a show for kids. This is just in the box. This is Aerial Pandemonium Ballet, which is the first two albums. Were they remixed? I don't remember, because I don't really play it because it's I prefer the original LP mixes. But anyways, in 71, his biggie, one that broke him, Nilsson Schmilsson, and just gave this a boost on my 1971 video I did yesterday. This is a great album to give to a Nilsson newbie, but so are Harry and Aerial Ballet. I got Gotta Get Up, which always kind of reminded me of Billy Joel for some reason. Driving Along, Moonbeam Song, Without You, that's a great one. Coconut, that's a hit. Put the lime in the coconut. Jump Into the Fire is great. It's another strong album. This was his era, late 60s, and all the way through the mid 70s, I think, or at least through Pussycats. I'm gonna give a shout out to all these albums. All right, the sequel, 1972, Son of Schmilsson. All right, almost as good as Nilsson Schmilsson. Another solidly crafted singer-songwriter album of sometimes wry or humorous songs. I wrote down Take 54, Remember Christmas, Turn On Your Radio, You're Breaking My Heart, so you know the rest. Spaceman, and Lottery Song. Yeah, this is a really solid one. Son of Schmilsson, all these great RCA albums. All right. In 73, Harry utilized his great voice for a little touch of Schmilsson in the Night, where he's just delving into the Great American Songbook. This is the Standards album, like Sinatra would have made, but before rock artists began doing this, like Rod Stewart or Bob Dylan, in the 21st century, he was the first kind of person from this generation to embrace these songs. He does them well. I don't think he does any of these songs better than the more famous versions from the 40s and 50s, but I like it. He's showcasing his voice. My favorites, because I wrote them down again. I wrote down Gordon Jenkins was the arranger. which is important because he was a big guy in Sinatra's life. Lazy Moon, It Had to Be You, Making Whoopee, and As Time Goes By are the ones that I thought he did a very good job with. All right, a little touch of Nilsson in the Night, a little kind of side project for Harry. And what I think is his last solid album, well, we'll get to Nilsson later on, is the one he made with John Lennon here, Pussycats, where he ruined his voice shouting out these songs. I guess John's voice could handle that. Harry's couldn't. He had a hoarse voice for a while after this. I like Pussycats, though. I don't know if it's one of his better albums, but it's the last one I can get behind, probably. Pussycats, I like what they do with Subterranean Homesick Blues. It's kind of twisted. Don't Forget Me is wonderful. That's a classic, Harry ballad. All My Life, Muchamungo, Mount Elga is really good. But, if you want like a little soundtrack to what John Lennon's Lost Weekend probably sounded like in '74, this could be it. Pussycats. That's even John on the cover there. Okay, in '76 he did 2 albums. Actually, no, that's in a second. This is '75 still. Do It on Monday. This is an average album. It's not as good as what came before, but it's not as weak as what would come after either. So in that sense, it's a transitional record. All right, a guy as talented as Harry Nilsson wasn't just going to lose it overnight. I like Down by the Sea, Easier for Me, Puget Sound, Good for God. All solid songs, but the whole thing is easy on the ear. In '75, he probably should have been taking a break somewhere around this time and recharging his batteries. He'd been cranking out albums, every year, but he did not. '76 is the year that he did 2 albums, neither one of which is that good. This is Sandman. All right, it's okay. It's not a bad Nilsson album. I don't think he made bad albums, but it's not a great one either. I like I Take a Tango. Here's Why I Didn't Go to Work Today. That's a really good one. Will She Miss Me? But most of I think some of the stuff is just forgettable. They put the lyrics on there. All right. Well, instead of then taking a break, nope, he cranked out another one that same year. That's the way it is. He's hardly writing by this point. This, epic singer-songwriter is just doing too many cover versions. That's the way it is. Sail Away, he does a good job with that, the Randy Newman number. She Sits Down on Me, which was not written by him either, written by a guy named Austin Talbot. And then one I like that he co-wrote is Daylight Has Caught Me. So at least he gets a co-write in there on one of my favorite songs on the album. But I think at this juncture was his weakest album. All right. Okay, somewhat of a comeback, I think, in '77 was Nilsson. The extra K's, the extra N's, the extra whatever S's. Well, he did have. So this one I think is slightly better, in that he's trying. He writes all the material, if memory serves, on this album. I wrote down Who's Done It, Lean on Me, Going Down. I like that one. And Old Bones are some of my favorites from this record. But it's fairly solid. And this ends his RCA career. We have this little sessions here, 67 to 68 disc. We have Nilsson sessions, 68 to 71. See, this box set is an embarrassment of riches. And we have Nilsson sessions, 71 to 74. All right, so there's plenty of stuff here. And he takes a break, I think. I might need a break. Harry always had issues with substances, shall we say. Comes back in 1980 with Flash Harry, another album I had not heard until recently. This was hard to get when I was a kid. I don't remember seeing this album cover. They, of course, re-released it in around 2013 or so when that box set came out. But, yeah, I don't own this. I just printed it out from the internet so that you guys could see it. But I listened to it, and It's a better album than his first album, Spotlight on Nilsson. The first song, Harry, is sung by Eric Idle. I'm a big Monty Python fan, so that any Pythons in attendance are okay with me. And then Harry does, the Bright Side of Life, which is from, of course, Life of Brian, which is always an amusing number. And then Old Dirt Road is good, which, is his song he co-wrote with John Lennon. So not the best way to go out on, but he still had a phenomenal career. He was in the Newman vein in that he was wry, sarcastic, pretty much cynical, but funnier, even funnier, maybe funnier than Randy Newman, although that's debatable, There are similar songwriters, of course they're not. When you get into their material, you can definitely tell what would be a Newman song versus what would be a Nilsson song, but they also could have songs which you might think, yeah, either one could have written that, So, he was great friends with John Lennon, but he got along with all the Beatles and then the Pythons, and a big drinker, and he just kind of partied himself to an early grave, I guess. But he's one of those eccentric artists that I always seem to be drawn to, So, anyways, that's this week's Los Angeles singer-songwriters show. Harry Nilsson was worth getting his own show, not having to share it with somebody else. Till next weekend, bye-bye.